to the O and M meeting. First part of the agenda is to have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes. Mr. Kenny, Mr. Blaze, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
That's good. All right, we're just gonna move right into, Jeff, the update on construction.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Don't have Bill Lamy here to give you the nuts and bolts of it, but I'm glad that I brought some photos for you, so I'm gonna send around a bunch of photos of the park as it stands now. We're on schedule to have everything complete, for next spring, and, construction's going well. The skate park is moving along quickly, and it's starting to take shape. And the only, I have a couple items for consideration of the committee. The first is authorization to pay various expenses for Village of Lake George. And you'll see on pages 1 through 4 are, various labor, equipment, and material expenses that the village has incurred in support of events and or, repairs at the park.
I'll move that. Mr. Kenny, Mr. Blaze, you second that? All right, any other questions? All in favor?
I'll prepare a formal resolution request for, pulling that out of the revenue reserve that we have. And then on the last page is a request for a event deposit refund. This was received by the mayor back on the 14th, for a craft show event that was scheduled on August 29th and 30th, and we hadn't really established a policy, for operating this year as to when we would consider, these refunds, so I thought it important to bring it to committee. I know there was some discussion regarding event fees for next year and how we handled deposits, if there were late cancellations or anything like that for the events, so, I don't know if Mayor Blaze has anything to add from his communication.
I don't think that particular event, we had received a deposit in any event, but, yeah, we were having a meeting on the 9th, I understand, and at a workshop to discuss fees and schedules, and perhaps we could consider that. I don't think there's any pending problem, is there right now, as far as deposits?
Well,
I don't think there is. There wasn't any deposit placed for the craft show that canceled.
You had mentioned in your email that she did paid $1,500, and I think that was correct.
Oh, I think that probably was, I just checked with Denise before I left today, and she indicated that everything was square. I think that $1,500 deposit might have been money that she was gonna receive from us for occupancy tax, which of course, she won't get either. But I'm not sure that there's any outstanding balance. I'd have to check it. I'm not sure.
Well, just in case if there was, do we have what we will do? Will we return it, or will we?
Well, we should have the ability to return the fees unless the event blocks someone else, which in this case I don't believe did. But I just checked with Denise before I left, and I said, are we all square with Diane? She was the all events promoter, and she said yes, that we had not given her any funding, and we were all square. So I'll check on that.
I'll check mine.
Prior to the meeting on the 9th.
okay, we can bring it back to the next committee.
Okay. Going on referrals.
Okay, that's all I have
now.
for action items, and then,
Referrals.
we are working on budget items, and again, that I will have a draft budget for the Park O&M, portion, for the festival space, portion of, the budget that's carried under my codes, and, that's even a moving target these days, so I think I do need to have some, now that we've got clarity on what the park is gonna look like and what our timeline is, I think we'll have a better estimate, and I would anticipate coming back to committee with a proposal from the village or some other proposal on how we're gonna handle, regular maintenance at the park. I don't have anything else.
Okay, if there's nothing else, just so we're not gonna adjourn real quick, I got Joanne here from tourism. We've been speaking a lot on what we could do to improve some of the things like at the festival space, and I know, Mr. Consuelo was concerned about the website. The tourism department, we've been, discussing it in the last couple of weeks, and we really feel that, we will be able to take care of that website in-house. And we'd like to just give it some, you know, we're gonna come at the workshop, but, you know, at the end, let it go until the end of the year, the way it's working now, and, then come the first of the year, have the tourism department take over and help do the advertising for that website. Something I brought up at the county board meeting, I had asked all the supervisors to get me their emails, and anybody else that was interested in emails, and I haven't received any yet, but I know we will. But, what you got, in front of you, is what we did in the tourism department on the August the 11th. There was an email blast that went out to 130,000 roughly people, and yes, you have it on your sheet, all right. I printed out in big form. If you hit the festival space, I mean, what you have on the left-hand column, we put in all the events coming up that we had, for at least until the month of September, and that went out August the 11th to 130,000 people. We'll have more of a breakdown, how many people opened it and stuff, in another couple of weeks. But we've got everything mostly in there through September, and this is, what makes it easy for us to do at really no cost, just a little time to create the pictures, like, if you look for the, September 10th through the 13th, the car show. I mean, you see it on yours, I have a bigger version of it here, but that's what people see when they open up their website. So we're hoping that helps you, to finish out this year. And, you know, there's another, you know, we've done a few email blasts, but we can't just put, like Mayor Blaze, we can't just put your email on that. You have to kinda ask for it or send us an email, and you'll get everything that we do, on your email, for what we do on these email blasts, which hasn't ever been done before, but it just brought to my attention, and I believe in it fully. It just helps, it'll help business people, it'll help, chambers of commerce, it'll help anybody around Warren County know what we're doing, with those 130,000 emails that we have. So, I think it's a great idea, and I just hope everybody but we have to physically get your email sent to us or ask us, go ahead and put my email on it, we just can't do it, without your permission. So, that's just something we wanted to bring up.
So if you just wanna give us the heads up that it's okay to send you these couple of email blasts, so there were actually 2 blasts, and the one that, Supervisor Merlino showed you was in July, and that was specifically, Festival Commons, and then there was a second blast in August, and a little bit of it was, summer's not over yet, don't forget, come and visit, the Lake George area, and that's where we focused on the, one event in particular that was coming up that weekend. So if you'd like to receive these blasts, we just need your email address, and we can't type you in and add you in unless you give us that permission. But if you just say, hey, Joanne, you know, I'd like to receive those, we'd love to send them to all the supervisors, and then you'll see whenever they go out. It's at least once a month, but now these, couple that Peter sent out were not scheduled, but we saw an opportunity, so we wanted to get the word out there, and then you'll know what we're doing in the office, on your behalf. So we do have some statistics, although, you know, they're still coming in, the number of people that open the blasts, and, you know, that's another 6,000 people approximately have opened these last couple of blasts and gotten the word out about summer in Lake George and specifically the festival.
Joanne, I just have a question, are you sending out links, or are you sending like a PDF document, like a flyer type thing, or what are they?
So when you open, so this will come into your email box, and the subject line might be, I don't know, there's still an extra week of summer, that was the August 11 blast. And then the sender will be Lake George area, so you can identify with that. And when you open it up, you'll see this graphic or this one, and that will be the body of the email message. And then as you read around, if you want to click on Summer Fun, that might take you to our website. And if you hover around a little bit more on the Electric Love Festival, it'll take you right to that. So there are links embedded within the message. So each of those count, differently, and we have a tracker, the software program will tell us how many people click on each link. So, Electric Love on August 11, unfortunately didn't get a lot of clicks, but that doesn't mean people didn't look at it and say, hey, there's a festival, going on in Lake George, maybe I'll come up for the weekend. So yeah, all of those links are embedded and people can go directly to the festival website or whoever else happens to participate in that blast. We do have some advertisers from time to time. There were no advertisers on these blasts.
See, like the one that's here where it says Electric Love, where it says get tickets, that's what I got when I hit that, all this information, comes up on that. And then if you look at, I don't know if you see it in blue, but all the blue ones, like you could hit fireworks, it gives you the time, amusement park, steam cruises, there's a lot of back-to-school shopping, that's where we got the outlets involved. So you hit that and all the outlet, specials were coming up. So, I mean, it's very simple and it's, very inexpensive to do, so. And the only other thing that we've been working with the Lake George Chamber, I don't know if you wanna hold off this Festival Commons, thing until our workshop. I mean, you
Okay,
know,
as far as
right,
additional
we got
funding
some,
for the site?
we've been working with Mike and trying to figure out how we're gonna work it. Maybe we'll wait until that October 9th workshop meeting to go through all of this, so we don't do it twice. So, but we're just trying to, yes, Mike?
Chairman, thank you. Mike Sewell, Lake George Chamber. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend the workshop, but I just wanted, for clarification purposes, to say that, again, the Chamber, through the county and through a contractual agreement, had designed and developed the website, festivalcommons.com. It's been up and running, we all know that. The question is the management of it, and through the contract, it's been, brought to our attention, and through the contract, that we are to operate it. We, as a chamber, quite honestly, do not have a problem turning it over to the county and to the tourism folks to manage it. I guess my concern is more of the sales and promotion of the website to get people to actually go to the website. That seems to be the crux of the problem right now, is a lot of folks do not know that there is a festivalcommons.com website out there. So as a result, part of the discussion on September 9th should be, how are we going to get that message across, drive people there, in addition to what the county's going to take over the management of the site, in addition to what they're doing to get all of this information out there promoted. You still need a plan in place to actually drive people to that site. So you've got a great site, it's up, it's running, but nobody's going to it because nobody knows it's there. We've taken the opportunity via radio to promote it. That's all that's been done. So I just want to bring caution to that. The opportunity to do the website was done through the contractual agreement we have through the county and DB. So we've taken money out of that contractual agreement to develop the site, which is what we agreed upon doing. But if we continue to run it, then it's going to take away from doing the sales and promotions that the young lady, Christina Curley, has been asked to do. So I want to just make clear that we have no problem with turning over the operation of the site to the county. That's the way we want to operate. Again, I want to say that for the record.
Well, we're just bringing it forth, and we'll have a final discussion, we'll see how the mayor feels. You got any comments, Mr. Mayor, on it? I just feel that we did take a long time to get that site going. I mean, it really didn't get approved until early July or somewhere in that area. So there wasn't a lot of time to get it out, and that's why, in our discussions, if we just keep working on it now keep you guys working on it now until the end of the year, come January 1st, we'll have a lot of time to promote it and get it out there and get people to know about it.
Through George Normand and Peter, those two young fellows who've got, an incredible amount of
Right.
intellectual knowledge about, website, they got together and collaborated make sure that this site is being used effectively and that it is being promoted effectively. So, again, I don't have a problem hooking George and Peter up together for, between now and, whenever decisions are made. That's not a problem.
But are you talking about from now until the end of the year?
Whatever.
So in your RFP, response, develop and maintain the special events calendar and website. Would that be to the end of the year that the chamber would be responsible for maintaining?
If we have to maintain it, but again, I'm only talking about maintaining it, I'm not talking about promoting it, because that is, to me, that's another cost, and that's going to come out of the $140,000 grant that you've given us for her to go out and make sales calls and sales presentations and drive business. So the more we spend money doing advertising and marketing for the Festival Commons takes away from what her opportunities are in the future to be a sales representative for that particular venue, in addition to all the other venues that she has to promote throughout Warren County. So it's kind of a sticky situation.
Well, I understand that, and I think we're willing to help a little if we can get together to help you for the, and then come the first year, if everybody feels that maybe we should just do it and have, and get it done, which I feel very confident that we can handle. It might work better, because it's not promoted right now. It's a nice site, it's out there, but if nobody knows to get into it, but that's why we did these email blasts, so that at least we started with 130,000 people that are gonna say, and hoped it helped, but, we don't know yet. Anything, comment, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, just to, comment about the meeting on the 9th, last Monday, I held a meeting with all of the promoters that have been involved in using the festival space this year, and actually 2 others came to the meeting that are looking at the space for use next year. And we got a lot of, very, succinct, comments about where we should be going. The biggest thing is that we are not we're not a music festival space yet. We lack this year several things that are going to be necessary down the road. So what I'd like to do, I made minutes of that meeting with all of the various promoters. I would actually like to invite 2 of the largest ones to our meeting on the 9th, just so they can tell you what we heard in that meeting. This is the gentleman that does Proctor's Theater in Schenectady, Tulip Festival, and all the events in the city of Albany. And John Strong, who you all know is our local Lake George Arts Project, had some very real ideas for the future, but I'd like to get those to you prior to the meeting. We experienced a lot of growing pains this summer. We had more festivals that were not successful than were. Arlo Guthrie show was fabulous from the standpoint of everyone that went. It was a very successful show, but financially, it was not. And a lot of it is things that we can rectify on the short term, and some of the things are things that we need to look at for the long term. Things like a box office. We completely forgot that every successful space in the country has a box office somewhere where people can walk up to and buy tickets in advance. And so those are the long-term things. The stage, we're working on, as you know. The signage was a real big problem. Parking was a major problem for everyone. And I'm working with the Lake George Steamboat Company, and I think by the 9th we'll have an announcement to solve our parking problems as far as the festival space goes. But I'd like to get those to the committee prior to our meeting on the 9th, so you have an opportunity to look them over, and then we can discuss them in maybe a little bit shorter period of time. The other short-term problem is, and I spoke with Lisa today, I've been working with, and believe me, she's a savior in many ways. My secretary is still with me at the village because she's taken on those duties. The county attorney, and I wish he was here, has mentioned that he does not want any bounce houses. Every event that we've had, with the exception of Arlo Guthrie, there's a children's component to it. This is a family resort, this is a family space. People are not going to attend events or music festivals if there isn't something for their young people to do when they're there. I'm trying to get to why we've eliminated bounce houses. It has become a problem immediately for our next event, which is the gentleman that opened our space last year. He's got bounce houses, he's got children's rides inside the space, and he's been told that he can't have those. I really need to know why. I need to have a decision done, because there are several groups that I'm aware of next year. Without having that component inside the gate, people will not go in with their children. There won't be anything for the young people to do while their family is enjoying the festivals. We have bounce houses in the village of Lake George twice a week. We've had them for 21 years, and we have never had an incident, never had a claim since we've been there. We have the same insurance company that the county has, NYMIR, and I just need to know what the problem is.
Do you have any comment on that?
The only thing that comes back to mind is I thought this issue of bounce houses was addressed, maybe even by board resolution at one point, on county-owned properties, including like up at the fish hatchery and stuff. Jeff is nodding, so I think I'm right, and that may be one of the problems, is that if the county has already ruled against them, then the board may have to reconsider that. The other issue, I think, from Martin's perspective, has been the insurance issue. While we do have the same companies, apparently Martin had gotten some indication from our insurance agent that there could be a problem. That's all I know. I haven't been in the middle of that. Martin's been handling it, but we certainly could get this resolved, Mr. Chairman, I'm sure.
You know, the only reason I bring it up today is that the American Music Festival is September 25th or whatever, and it has become an issue for him. He's contracted, obviously, for these bounce houses, exactly the same as he did last year, and now doesn't, know what the status is. He's been told he can't have them, and it's a source of revenue, but it's also a tremendous attraction for a family event. And I know that I checked with every town in the county. We just got through having the Jamboree up in Warrensburg. It's the same company. They have their insurance. They name the county and they name the village on every single policy we've had all summer long. And again, we haven't had any problems with them, so.
Just to follow up on Paul's comments, the board did approve, probably in 2010 or so, I think it was after I took over DPW, that there was a resolution passed with certain rules and conditions, and under those certain rules and conditions, we could do that, or we could have bounce houses. And I talked with Martin about this more recent issue, and he had received word that our current insurance would not cover us in the event of injury or liability with a bounce house. And Martin was seeking clarification, and because there's some language in there that in the policy that may even extend to other types of devices, mechanical devices. So Martin's early indication to me is right now we're not covered, so we shouldn't be doing it. And I put that notice out to the guys at the hatchery too, although we haven't had any bounce houses there in years. And also he said that it may be possible to add coverage, but he's working with insurance carrier to see what that cost would be. And I think that would be our assessment is, okay, if we need to add coverage, what are the costs and is it worth it because of the nature of the events that we're having. So I'll talk with Martin and see if he can be prepared for our next month's meeting, come back.
It's September 9th, isn't it? It's not October 9th.
Right, yeah,
September.
but we can see
Did I
if we can
say
discuss
October?
it,
I'm
or
sorry,
if he
September.
can be ready for the working group meeting or our next formal meeting. And I don't think it's something that can be resolved here in the short term though. If you have
Well,
events
by
coming up.
September 25th, if there are meetings on September 9th, perhaps, maybe.
Incidentally, this impacts Balloon Festival.
Yeah, they
do
have.
the same thing at Balloon Fest, they have, the Children's Discovery, Worlds of Awareness, or someone comes in and
Yeah.
they do the same thing, so.
They do exactly the same. We have Thursday nights, for 7 years in Shepherd Park. Price Chopper has, given us, 2 balloons there, bounce houses, and donated the entire proceeds to the Lake, Save the Lake Committee. And it's a tremendous source of revenue, and again, we have the same insurance carrier, Nymir, that you have. I haven't been able to find out from them any directive, and I went back through all of their publications and haven't been able to see where they've excluded the use of bounce houses, particularly if the company has the proper insurance coverage and names the county or the village, or same as all the other vendors that we have. So we do need to get to the bottom of it. It's a big attraction for these promoters, and we're trying obviously to do everything we can to make them successful and their vendors successful, because without vendors, and that's our other problem now, the vendors haven't done very well. I didn't have enough nerve to charge my vendors at my show because we didn't have enough people. But if we don't have vendors, you don't have a successful festival as well. So I think we can correct a lot of things going into next summer. Most of these promoters are waiting on the sidelines to find out what we are going to do and what our fees are gonna be, our schedules, and so on and so forth. And we do know they have some expenses there now they won't have in the future, but I also remind them continually that we have occupancy tax where we help them with that as well. So when we've done a good job with that. I think without the occupancy tax, I've said it before, we would not have had any events there this summer, perhaps maybe only a couple.
Thank you. Well, I think with Jeff working on it and administrator, we'll have an answer, I hope,
That'd be
by
great,
September
yeah.
9th.
Thank you.
Anything else, privilege to the floor, anything, motion adjourned? Mayor, any? Thank you all for coming.
So I got all these things in here, Lisa, to go
So they're all for you.